The following podcast is an enticing media production.
Where the Nell have you been? Join us for conversation about life, business, and everything in between. Welcome to What the Nell, where we've got stories to tell. Here's your host, Nell Tice.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another brand new episode of the What the Nell podcast with yours truly, Nell Tice. Oh, it's been a while since I've done a solo episode, and I am really grateful for that. I've had some amazing guests. The Ecopreneur's Edge series has been going really well, and I am really excited to see where all of that goes. I'm putting a lot more time and energy into everything here at the What the Nell podcast because A, you guys deserve it. And if you've been following along for a while, you know, we've been here. We've been around for a while. And I want to keep the podcast as fresh as possible. And I want to keep it going. So this episode, while yes, there is a theme to it, is also a little bit of a life update because a lot has happened in the past few weeks in 2025, really. And I want to talk about some of that. And I want to talk about how to handle a certain situation when you feel like your character is being judged or questioned. And that's really important because I had an experience recently, actually, where I felt like that was the case for myself. And, you know, before we get into all of that, I want to say thank you to everyone that has been here since day one, since day 50, since day 100, wherever you are in your What the Nell journey. I really appreciate you being here. I appreciate it if you've been a guest, and everybody that has come through this little path, this little journey on this podcast is not so little, actually. It's kind of a big deal. You know, we've released over 150 episodes, which is amazing. Most podcasts don't make it past episode 8. So I'm really grateful for everyone. Yeah, we've had some amazing episodes, amazing people. And, you know, sometimes when I do these solo episodes, I usually try to come up with something like tips and tricks or hacks and things that I've learned. I want to give value to you guys and why you should listen and why I should position myself as an expert on something. So it's really important to me that I continue to do that, which is what will lead us to the topic of today's episode. But if you're new here, welcome. Thank you for tuning in or watching. If you're on YouTube or on your favorite audio platform, don't forget to leave us a review. I always say it at the end, but I feel like I should say that more at the beginning. So a lot has happened recently. Let's just kind of get right into it. I had for the past 2.5 years been hosting live radio shows with my husband, Kenny, co-owner of Enticing Media, and that has since subsided for myself. I am no longer doing that. I am now going to be a little more behind the scenes in production, sometimes in front of the mic, too, for Kenny's new live radio show called Livin' Like Kenny. It's on Radio Trop Rock, and we're super excited about it. He's so passionate about trop rock music. I've become passionate about it. I've been to a Jimmy Buffett concert. We try to incorporate that beachiness, that carefree, laid back style in our own personal lives. And we're just really lucky to be able to have the opportunity to have that transcend into more of a business opportunity. So it's really cool to be there in that space and in that community. So definitely check it out. If you're into that type of thing, check out Radio Trop Rock, Livin' Like Kenny. It's a live radio show on Wednesday nights at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. There is a live chat in the Facebook group. So if you're listening, if you want to chat with a whole bunch of really cool people, make sure you hop into that. But that is the real big change lately that has happened. And I'll tell you, this is all kind of coming to fruition, right? I've heard a lot of things this year about simplifying and focusing on what you're really good at. And when you constantly are putting things out there, content or businesses or what have you, It's a lot. It confuses people, and sometimes it even confuses you. I, so we definitely live in a more is better type of society, and that's just not the case. I think that the decision to simplify this year has been really valuable and beneficial up to this point. We also decided to stop doing the Drunk Squirrel podcast. They'll tell you, Kenny and Rob will tell you it's on a pause. There is no plan for an episode to be uploaded. So, in my eyes, it's gone until it comes back. There's a lot going on. We're still on really great terms with Rob and his family. We just saw them this past weekend. They have kids that have very full lives and keep them busy. And there's a lot going on behind the scenes for them. And there's a lot going on behind the scenes for us. It just became a project where it was like, okay, what's really the priority here? We need to simplify. Let's pull back on some things. And we were all in complete agreement. And so it's a really good thing that happens. And it's okay. I know a lot of people sometimes will see stopping doing something as a failure, and it's not that at all. And I just really hope that people enjoyed the podcast. You still can. It's still available everywhere you get your podcasts, so you can always catch up. It was a really great podcast, and but I want people to know that it's all positive, it's all good vibes, and the whole thing for the Drunk Squirrel, and really good things moving forward for everyone. So there's that too. This year has been quite challenging for me personally, in the sense that as soon as I hit 40, it's almost like my body or the universe was like, okay, you had it easy for your first 39 years of life. Let's throw in a few challenges, all the really cool things that come with being a woman at 40, right? We're talking like perimenopause and all the fun stuff. So that's been a navigation, I'll call it. I would actually really love if there's anybody out there listening. I know people are listening. You're emailing me about really great guests and asking for guest spots and recommending people, which is amazing. So if anybody out there is listening and either going through it or has a really great doctor that would love to come on the podcast and talk about perimenopausal things, I would love to talk to them, because I think this is something that women my age, and that happens to be the main age group demographic for this podcast, I would love to bring somebody on so that we can talk more about this, because it is a subject that is like, it's finding its way in. It's like water. It's getting in everywhere and all through the seams. So that has been a really interesting challenge for this year. So rather than getting into too much detail about that right now, I'll save that for a later episode when somebody actually does come on and wants to talk about it. Those are just some of the things that have been going on. That's a little bit of a life update. And, you can always head to the Enticing Media website, ENTICEING media.com, to find all the things that we're up to, especially under the media tab. There's blog posts, there's events that we're doing, there's the radio show, there's the podcast, and our YouTube channel, of course, still going strong. And so yeah, anyway, all right. Let's get into today's topic, because it really is an important one. And I feel like, especially when you're in a position where you're making a change, this could be really helpful and really valuable to someone that is going through this. And even if you are the person on the other side that seems to be doing the judging. I know we're all guilty of it at some point. We can all say, no, I never judge people. Oh, we saved that for the man upstairs, or whatever it is. We're all guilty of it at some point, one point or another. And I try to do my best. I think other people do too. But sometimes we find ourselves in situations where it feels like it's happening to us, where we're being judged. Our character is being questioned, and that's not a good feeling. I'll tell you that. So, quick backstory. It's going to be super vague because I am not in the position or the mindset of, just attacking people, especially in a very public vicinity. And so I'm not going to do that, but I'm going to tell you what my experience was. And just bear with me because I do have some notes on my computer that I'm going to be kind of referring to. So if you see my gaze going to the computer, that's why. And if you're watching on YouTube, but if you're listening to this, you're fine. So anyway, I had a conversation recently where I was making a change, and I was talking to this person, and it was right out of the gate. You could tell I was being questioned and judged for something that I either was or wasn't doing. I don't honestly even remember what the first thing was, but the judgment came by way of, we've been feeling some really negative energy from you. And I don't really know how to respond to that because I didn't feel that way when I was asked or approached with that. So it threw me off guard. And that was the first thing. I was just like, okay, so obviously my mind, my body is now adjusting to how this is going. Wasn't really prepared for it. But the conversation kept going. And as I revealed some information about making the change, it was not accepted very well. And that's a key thing here too, is that when you're making a change and it's affecting somebody else, and maybe not affecting them the way they would like to be affected, that's going to be received in a way that you can't control. Quite honestly, it wasn't received positively. And that led to some accusations and insults being hurled in my direction, directly at me. And I didn't take very kindly to that. However, I'm pretty proud of myself of how I handled it. And I will tell you, there was a podcast episode that I listened to recently by Mel Robbins. It was about how to handle difficult people. And I'll find the link for it. I'll put it in the show notes description. But just that week, and it was fresh. It's one of those episodes that you got to save. You got to download it and save it because you probably want to refer back to it a few times. Just that week, I had listened to that episode on how to handle difficult people, and they went through all kinds of scenarios with people and how you should respond to them to be able to have productive conversation. So I was keeping the notes that I had taken in the back of my head for this particular conversation I was having where I was feeling judged and questioned. And when the insults and the accusations were coming at me, I didn't respond. I know that's really difficult for some people to do. Or should I say I didn't react? I didn't react. I didn't return the favor. I didn't call names. I didn't make accusations. I said what I know to be true. I stated facts. I said, here they are. And can we, continue to have this conversation like grown adults, or are we just going to continue with the accusations and the name calling? And it takes a lot to not react to something when it feels like you're being attacked. Attacked is a strong word. I prefer not to use it, but the words that were coming at me at the time felt like an attack. Especially because this person that I was conversing with was somebody I thought I knew, and I vice versa. I thought they knew me. Had they ever actually listened to anything that I had told them, these accusations, I don't think would have happened. These judgments, I don't think would have come out unless the intent was to hurt me. And that's possible. It's very possible when somebody feels threatened. A defense mechanism is to retaliate, to get revenge, to throw back. And even though it was never my intention to threaten or to do anything super negative, I was making a change. I was making a change to provide a better outcome for what our values are. And that's the other thing. So I'm going to go into a few steps here of things to think about when you feel like you've been in this position before. But to round out the story, we did end up having a productive conversation. I don't know if the results of that conversation necessarily prove that. However, we got through what we needed to get through. We accomplished the conversation, and that's it. So I consider that a win, I guess you could say. I didn't feel great about how it ended, but got done what it needed to get done. So unfortunately, that's just the way it is. However, okay. So I want to talk about why this topic is so important. It's a lesson. I really truly believe that there are lessons in everything. You need every experience that you've had to get to where you are. And I am really grateful for having had this experience now. I'll tell you, as soon as I hung up from that phone call, I didn't feel so grateful. I came back to where I'm sitting right now, and I just tried to go about the rest of my day. I had a schedule, I time block everything. And as much as we try to schedule everything out, there are things that happen. And unfortunately, the thing that happened at that moment was the emotions. The emotions got in the way of my time blocking. And I just sat down and I finally had a minute to think about it and to reflect and to say, did I actually handle this how I think I should have? The tears started to flow because I had just lost a really great connection and friendship, and that doesn't feel good either. And I just needed a minute. I actually recorded a video when I was in this moment, and because of just in case I ever wanted to post it somewhere. I don't think I actually ever will. And I'm really not usually a person to say I'm not going to post a video of myself, because that's what I do, and I really try to be as authentic as possible. And this video really is quite authentic. So maybe I'll wait to post it for the right time in the right place. But I just needed that time. And it's important because it's a feeling. It's a real feeling. It stings, it hurts, and I don't think it feels good to be on any end of it, whether you're the one throwing the accusations or the one being on the receiving end, honestly. So it's important to help. I want to be able to share this with people in case you find yourself here and you need to figure out a way to respond, much like that Mel Robbins podcast episode did for me. So that's why it's important. Yeah, it's frustrating. It hurts. It takes an emotional toll. It does feel like a personal attack, and it sucks. Quite frankly, it just does. Gary Vee is always really big about this too. You've got to stop caring about what other people think. The opinions will destroy you. They absolutely will. And especially when you're face to face with them. When you're face to face with someone that is giving their opinions, not necessarily facts, or giving the accusations, or insulting you with an intent to hurt you, not reacting is a superpower. And I can't take credit for that. A friend of mine just posted that recently. And it was just, oh gosh, the way the universe has been working recently has been crazy. I've been seeing signs everywhere telling us we're heading in the right direction. And seeing just these little things just makes me feel that much more validated in the path that we're on. So yeah, it all really sucks. So that's the impact that you need to understand of the feeling of being judged and being judged, honestly. So let's talk about a response. To me, there's response and there's reaction. Reaction is the initial, you haven't even had a chance to think about it, action, So if something's being hurled at you and you don't agree with it, there's so many different ways to react. And most of the time, it's not going to be a way that you're proud of, honestly. And being able to control that reaction and not react in that moment takes an intense amount of personal work. And that's where I realized I have actually done a lot of work and a lot of personal development to be able to get to that point. And I'm really proud of that. I really am. And for anybody out there that thinks maybe they can't get to that point, or they're working on it and they're not seeing the results, you're going to get there. I promise you, you're going to get there. Keep practicing, keep working on yourself, keep doing all of the things, because these are the moments when everything that you've been working for really culminate and show the true colors. So I'm really proud of the fact that I didn't react in that moment, because I could have just stooped to that level. I could have, but I didn't. And the response is less impulsive. Responding is taking a step back. It's assessing the situation. It's thinking about what to say. It's all of those things. And there's a lot more clarity in that. And typically what comes from that is a professional, really tasteful way of handling something. And I'm really trying to work on that. I think thus far we've done a really good job of handling things professionally, and that's relative too. Maybe there are people out there that don't think that, and that's fine. Everybody's entitled to their opinions, of course. That's what they are. And so just think about it, reaction versus response. I think that's key in situations like this. Recognizing what sets you off is also something to work on, to be able to handle these situations. In your daily life, what are these little things that happen to you that set you off? And recognizing that, acknowledging that, and remembering that when you're in these intense situations, so that you don't react impulsively, is really important. And this kind of goes without saying, but breathing. You gotta breathe. Take a breath before you respond, before you speak. And it sounds so cliche, but I promise you, if you take a breath, it can calm you down even just that much. And sometimes a little tiny bit is all you need to calm down. So just take a breath before you respond. And this one, I think, is one of the most important things that you can remember, is staying true to your values and who you are. And you got to be careful when you get involved in things, and even things that you create yourself. You've got to watch, who you surround yourself with, and all the little pieces. They all contribute to this. Never ever stray from your values. There are people that are never going to listen to you, and they're going to think they know what your values are, and they really don't. That was something that happened in this situation. I can't control that. If you've never listened to me, if you've never wanted to listen to me, that's not something I can control. So staying true to my values, knowing where I am and who I am, is really important in these situations, because it gives you a much clearer path or journey to take. And that's really helpful. Your actions sometimes speak louder than words. Obviously, cliche, a little tidbit there, but I don't necessarily have the best poker face when I'm not playing poker. I don't play poker very often, but I tend to wear what I'm thinking on my face a lot. And, that happens. Sometimes, I got to think about it. Keep a straight face. Act like you're playing poker. Do you want everybody to see the hand that you're dealing with, behind the scenes, and what's going on in your head right now? Just thinking about that. And one of the easiest things to do in an argument or a conversation where you're being judged is succumbing to it. To just say, I want to be done. I want to be out of here. Don't give up. Be authentic. Stay true to your values. Stay who you are in the face of criticism. If you are receiving criticism. I mean, not everybody's going to agree with everything that you do or say. It's just the way the world works. If you're receiving criticism, you got to take that a little bit. You got to take some mental notes and then later ask yourself, well, why did this person say this to me? You know, this is really a mirror. A lot of it is. I'm not saying that you can't take some of what you heard and think, okay, why did this person say this? Let's evaluate this. And what can I do better to not have this happen again? And it's okay to do that. I'm not talking about because you'll go down the route of, because I did this too. Oh my gosh, I was a horrible person. I didn't do anything right. And all of those things. That's an extreme. Let's get out of that headspace. Okay. Let's get into the headspace where we're proactively evaluating and looking at data to say, okay, why did this happen? Why did this person say this to me? Set your boundaries, stand up for yourself, know when to walk away. And those key pieces are absolutely essential as well. Knowing when to assert yourself, feeling out the conversation. These are a lot of things that happen in social situations. You've got to use your gut feelings and pay attention to them because they're usually right. And I can't stress it enough that your boundaries are knowing when to walk away and when to stand up for yourself. And that's going to be really helpful for you. This is a really tough one because this takes a lot that I'm still like, I'm a work in progress, you guys, just like everybody else. Obviously I didn't handle this perfectly, but you need to have some sort of empathy and understanding for the person that is hurtling insults and accusations and judgment at you. What is their situation? Are you just in the right place at the right time? Are they going through things? And personally, I think in the situation that I was in, I think that is a lot of the case. It doesn't feel good to be on the receiving end of that, especially when you really haven't done anything wrong. I'm not saying I did or didn't do anything wrong. I'm not perfect, like I said. I'm sure there are things that I found that I can work on and, I can address those. But I really do think that hurt people. And having that understanding of the other person's situation helps you kind of rein it in a little bit on stooping to the level. It's really challenging because a lot of us, our initial reaction is to defend ourselves. And, with what I had mentioned before, trying to control those reactions, empathy and understanding is one way to do that. No matter what, you can always respond with kindness. In this particular situation, it wasn't something that I didn't believe in, the overall mission. It's something that I still support to this day and will always support. Sometimes people just have different ways of showing that support. And, it's just, that's the way it is. We're all different. And we handle things differently. We support things differently. And we just do things differently. That's just the way it is. So responding with kindness is something that can always be done too. Just remember that. And it's free. So, there's no real reason why we can't respond with kindness. So I talked a little bit about the growth and the reflection part. Take some of the pieces of the conversation and the situation that you're in and use that to get better at, handling relationships, being in them and just being a better person. There's something that you can learn from every situation. And I learned a lot from this to help me going forward. I learned a lot about what I had accomplished. And I also learned a lot about what I didn't accomplish yet. So I've now been given the tools to be able to move forward and handle things differently. It sucks that, that wasn't the case for this past, but that's why the past is the past, right? And sometimes people come into your life for a season and for a reason. And I got to believe that that's what this was too. And for that reason too, I'm very grateful to have had that opportunity. But once you've gotten past all of that and you've reflected and you're now kind of on the downside of coming down from this intense situation, it's a good idea to reaffirm who you are, reaffirm your character, stand up for yourself and practice, even just in the mirror every morning, saying, I am a good person. I do good things. I help people. I try my best. I'm not perfect, but I can, you can even, develop something in your routine, like just reaching out to one person every day to say, hey, I'm here. I'm thinking about you. And if I can help you in any way, I'm happy to do that. Just things like that make you feel good, that offer service and value to others, that doesn't cost anything. And that also helps build up your character in an effort for you to be able to handle these situations better in the future too. Be who you are. Don't let something like a negative interaction get you so down that you start judging and you start being that person that's hurtling the insults and the accusations. Because just as much as other people can do it to us, we probably do it to ourselves the most. And that's one of the biggest takeaways that I've had from this experience. I am notorious for looking in the mirror and going, man, you are aging. Man, that role wasn't there the other day. Wow, you have a double chin. Oh my gosh, you are stupid. You're a moron. Oh my gosh, if you were just a little bit smarter. I say these things to myself every day. Or I did. And then I realized if I was able to stand up for myself in a negative interaction like I did, why on earth would I not be willing to stand up for myself, for me, when I'm doing that to me? It's kind of like the light bulb moment. So yeah, there's a positive that came out of this for sure. So I think I've probably rambled on enough. Yeah, it's been over 30 minutes. And I really just hope that going forward, you can take some of this information, maybe even take this podcast and save it and download it, listen to it multiple times for yourself, pass it along, share it with anybody that you think needs to hear it, and keep it in your back pocket for those difficult days, because I know that this latest interaction that I had isn't going to be the last one, I'm sure. And as much as we try to be good people and as much as we try to control and do the best we can, there will always be situations out of our control that, we'll just find ourselves in and need to utilize these tools that we have accumulated over the time that we've worked on ourselves. So again, I hope you guys found this episode valuable. It's, I wanted to put this out there because I really think that what I experienced can really help other people with their experiences too. And that's the ultimate intent behind this. So hear that. I will never publicly bash anyone. I will never, I'm not that kind of person. I'm not judging. That's just not who I am. That's not who we are. That's not how we choose to operate as people or a business. There are certain lines that I draw and certain boundaries that I have that have been crossed and that I don't stand for. And I can't continue to allow that to happen from, being on the receiving end to me being the one doing it. So those boundaries they apply to all sides. So again, I hope you found this really helpful. If you liked this episode, let me know. Send me an email. I've been getting a lot of emails lately from you guys, which is amazing. And I want to get more. So make sure if you're listening to this on your favorite audio platform that you subscribe. and leave us a review. That is definitely how we grow here. I love getting reviews. And if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to the channel, like the video, share it, send it to anybody you think needs it. And yeah, so there's going to be some changes coming here at What the Nell too. I'm really excited. We're going to be just leveling up some of the appearance of our content, how we present it. And so you'll notice some changes. And I'm excited for the rest of season 3. So that's coming up. It'll probably be ending sometime in May. So get ready for that. And I might take a week or 2 off to just kind of revamp a couple of things. I may not. We might keep the episodes going. So let me know what you want to hear too. I love hearing from you guys. If you have suggestions for episodes, topics, guests, anything like that, I am always happy to hear from you. So thank you so much again. And we'll be back with an awesome new episode next week. Until then, I will catch you on the next one.
To learn more about how to tell your story, connect with Nell at enticingmedia.com. That's ENTICEING media.com. Thanks for listening to the What the Nell podcast.